Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Knowing that her mother was giving her a chance to present herself, Angela calmed herself down and replied, "Okay. I'm coming over right now. Please lay all the information about the client on my desk when I arrive." "Understood, Miss Myers. We'll be waiting for you." Although Angela wanted to continue shopping, it looked like they could only cut that short for now, seeing that she needed to return to her company. "Would you like to come with me to the company?" she asked her man. Richard, who had heard the conversation, nodded. "I'll go wherever you go." At the company, Angela had just entered the lobby as the 6 receptionists were shocked before they immediately welcomed her. "Good afternoon, President Myers." Nodding toward them, she quickly entered the elevator, leaving them staring dumbfoundedly at the man who was accompanying her. Even though they had less than 10 seconds to look at him, they were already captivated. Who is that handsome walking beside Miss Myers? Is he her boyfriend? My God, he's so perfect. President Myers sure has it good. That man's body is stunning. Not only was his body stunning, but did you see his face? With looks and elegance like that, no actor can even come close to matching up to him. He looks just like a soldier. Inside the elevator, Angela was already preparing herself to meet with the client in a moment. Drawing in a deep breath, she still felt anxious. Emerging into the main office of the project department, she walked into the gazes of her subordinates. It was then her assistant came running over. "Miss Myers, the client hasn't arrived yet." "But, Andy is here." "What's he doing here?" Angela was upset. Clearly, she did not want to see him here. "We're not sure sither. But, since he worked at the company for a good 6 to 7 years, we could not just chase him away. He's so fierce and unreasonable. A complete douche, sorry to speak." Miss Myers, just as her assistant, wanted to tell her to be careful in dealing with him. She looked up to see a tall man standing beside Angela, making her wide-eyed. "Did Miss Myers bring a bodyguard with her today?" Angela replied, "Don't worry. I'll meet him now." She then went to the break room with Richard following her. As an unreasonable and rude individual, Andy took advantage of the fact that Angela was inexperienced and that Daphne was not at the company at this moment, so he came here beforehand to disrupt her mood to deal with the client later. Yet, the moment Andy saw her enter, he saw a striking figure come follow behind her and stood beside the woman silently with an oppressive aura emanated from him. This made Andy a bit nervous. Angela actually brought a bodyguard? "Andy Graham, the company doesn't welcome you. If you still have some sense left, leave now." Angela coldly chased him away. "The fact that this company could achieve its current scale was because I contributed to half the success. It's not too much for me to come here for a cup of tea, is it?" Andy put his legs on the table and crossed his arms to display a highly arrogant look. "You've been fired. Besides, you of all people should know how much you embezzled. If you don't want us to take legal action, you best leave now," she warned him. "You little girl. You don't have the right to lecture me." Before Andy could finish his sentence, he felt his chair being kicked from behind. The force threw him forward and caused him to thrash onto the floor. "You," angered beyond belief, Andy pointed at the man who kicked him. "You dare to assault me? I'm going to SUC." Yet, he had not composed himself when he stood up as his leg was kicked again, causing the man to kneel at first instance. Thud. Before he knew it, a leg had stepped on his back, which resulted in him being on all fours. "You will listen to her words while kneeling like this." The man's cold voice came. Feeling humiliated, Andy bellowed, "Who the hell are you? Who are you to treat me like this?" You want me to listen to a child like her? The moment he said this, he felt the leg on his body suddenly increasing its force to make him prostrate himself on the ground. Oh. Ouch. Please, forgive me, good sir. Please let me go. I'll leave. I'll leave right now. It was then Andy found out that he was facing someone fiercer than he was, so he immediately changed his attitude and pleaded for forgiveness. Bending down, Angela warned, "My mom only spared you because you worked for our company for so long and did not ask about the embezzled funds. If you still want to play, then we'll see each other in court, Andy." Okay, I promise that I won't cause any troubles at the company again. Tell your bodyguard to let me go. The man on the floor was in such pain that he started to shout. Nodding, she motioned for Richard to lift his leg as Andy quickly stood up with a flushed face before running to the door. Just you wait. I'll be sure to repay this humiliation I suffered. After that, he quickly slipped away. With a bitter sigh, she thought that he was truly a nightmare to deal with. Let me deal with this kind of person if you meet them in the future. I will make sure that they stop harassing you. Richard was enraged. Had I not been here, I wonder how this snake planned to terrorize my woman? Leading Richard, Angela walked across the hallway of the offices while the employees were secretly gossiping. All of them were making guesses about Richard and Angela's relationship as she overheard some of them. Is he her bodyguard or boyfriend? The assistants were chatting with each other. Turning her head, she loudly announced, "He's not my bodyguard or my boyfriend. He is my husband." At this point, some of them flushed in embarrassment while others stopped guessing. Originally, some of the single male employees thought they had a shot at dating Angela. Now, they found that the chance was long gone. Angela's actually married now. Even though we're not sure how rich her husband is, we can tell that he isn't any normal Joe from the aura he possesses. On Angela's office desk lay the information of the client. After she sat down, her assistant immediately came in with 2 cups of water before Angela made a request. "Change them to coffee for me." "Will do." The assistant nodded and went out. "Did you not sleep well last night?" Richard was concerned for her. Rubbing her temples, Angela looked at him somewhat shyly. "Why do you think that was?" He pursed his lips and smiled, for he was the reason she did not sleep well. "All right. I'll let you rest well tonight." Richard promised to not use up her bedtime again. Shooting a glance at him, Angela took his words with a grain of salt before reading the documents with intent. With the sun shining on her from behind, she looked like a very successful businesswoman. At that moment, Richard was enamored by this as he crossed his hands and silently admired her without interruptions. He was committing this scene to memory. If not for her work, he would be sweeping away the documents on the desk and embracing her, doing the things they should be doing. The assistant entered with their coffee as Angela pursed her lips, sifting through the documents and unknowingly ignoring the man beside her. Yet, he did not feel bothered by this. Instead, he was satisfied with being able to accompany her like this and enjoy this moment. When Angela looked up, she remembered that she had company, prompting her to smile apologetically at the man. "Are you bored? Do you want to head back first?" Shaking his head, Richard replied, "I'm not bored at all." Uneasy that he was spending his afternoon like this, she stood up and hugged him by the neck before kissing him on the cheek. "Then, just accompany me at work for now. I'll reward you tonight. Didn't you say that you were tired?" He looked at her. Gently placing her hands on his shirt, Angela ran her fingers around his collarbone for a few seconds and bit his car lightly. "The moment you slid into these clothes, I was already thinking about how to strip them off tonight." Richard felt his stomach tighten, for he reached behind her head and pressed it gently. With one head looking up and the other looking down, they locked their lips. This made Angela blush. Yet, it was the excitement of being at the office that made her heart beat faster. Even though there was still ample time before the client would arrive and her office was very much private, she still embarrassingly went back to her seat upon thinking that there was still work to be done. Blushing, she continued work while the man looked on with a gentle smile. The client arrived around 3:00 p.m. as it turned out that it was all a misunderstanding. Andy had given him the wrong information, so the client came over sincerely to renew the contract, allowing Angela to breathe a sigh of relief. "Miss Myers, you sure have competent workers. I like your management," praised the client. Shocked, Angela replied, "Thank you for your compliments, President Cunningham. Also, didn't my daughter participate in a fan vote event? I didn't know which one of your employees caught wind of it, but their votes got her to first place. I was very happy to learn that most of the votes came from your company." This stunned Angela, as even though it was a simple gesture, the client obviously seemed very grateful for it. Frankly, she did not know what kind of power or luck she possessed, but ever since she entered the project department, the whole team was very willing to follow her and assist her along. In actuality, this was because Angela fulfilled her role of being a good leader. Ever since she took over the position, she solved most of the employees' problems. Besides that, she did not act arrogantly in the company, seeing that she was well involved with her subordinates during mealtimes and also projects. The hardships they shared were witnessed by her subordinates and enlightened them just how bright and meaningful their future would be when they worked under her. Before this, they assumed that it was better to save the trouble, hence they established the superficial relationship with the clients. However, things were different now. Even the trivias related to the clients could raise the alarm of every employee. Their efforts eventually gained themselves a compliment from Lauren. It was because he truly felt genuine warmth, which was not vocational. It was only 3:30 after the job was settled. Angela bought some desserts for takeout and brought them to the office for the staff. Seeing how she got along with them harmoniously, Richard let out a doting smile. At the same time, a maid entered the Husson residence while carrying a cat carrier. Mr. Husson has asked someone to send this." Ruka crouched and stared at the beautiful ragdoll in the carrier, which melted her heart at the drop of a hat. "Oh my, it's so cute," she exclaimed. The 1-year-old cat sat in the carrier meekly and blinked its eyes at her while meowing. At this moment, her phone rang, which surprised her. It was an unknown number, but she answered the call nevertheless. "Hello, who is this? Have you seen the cat?" The low mellifluous voice of a man resounded from the other side of the line. "Mr. Wren." Ruka was delighted to receive his call. "Yeah, I just saw it. It's so adorable. Don't hug her. She's kind of fuzzy and she might bite you. Just leave her at the study. I'll pick her up later. But she is super duper cute. She seems obedient. Can't I hug her?" An insistent Ruka asked, as not only did she want to hug it, she wanted to kiss it too. "I can't believe that a well-built man like Mr. Husson rears such a cute creature," she thought to herself. "Okay, but you gotta be careful." Run relented in helplessness. "Yay, I'll bring her to the study room now," she responded before becoming curious about something. "Does she have a name?" "Callie." His husky voice was as appealing as that of a voice actor. She smiled. "That's a pretty name." With that being said, she could not suppress the urge to hug Callie anymore. "Mr. Wren, I'll hang up the phone and take Callie to the study room. Bye." After terminating the call, she stretched out her hands to hug Callie, which was surprisingly obedient. It neither struggled nor made a fuss. Despite its petite size, she figured that it would be enough to scare the wits out of the rat and let it escape through the open door at night. She placed the little furball on the couch before gently stroking its head. With narrowed eyes, it enjoyed her touch comfortably. Right then, its ears pricked up as though she heard something. Ruka told, "I'll leave it to you, Callie." She knew that she should not disturb it when it was on its mission to chase the rat out. Leaving the cat with its mission, she closed the door and informed the maids not to open it for the time being. Losing the little furball when the rat had not been caught yet was the last thing she hoped for. Ruka returned to her room to read some books. In the meantime, a maid, who was headed downstairs after cleaning, was doing her duty by the door of the study room. Her job was to clean every single room, and so she opened the door and carried a bucket of water toward the windows to wipe them. At that moment, a fleeing rat squirmed out of a corner with a cat hot on its heels. Both of them went outside through the open door. After spending an hour reading, Ruka reckoned that little furball might have scared the rat enough. With the hope that the rat might run out of the room on its own the moment she opened the door, she decided to take a look at the situation. Ruka reached the closed door that led to the study room. Stretching out her hand, she opened the door and quickly closed it behind her after entering. She listened attentively to the surroundings. "Why is it so quiet?" "Meow." She meowed to draw the little furball's attention. Still, the room was in total silence and there was no meowing sound of a cat. Ruka's heart pounded rapidly as she wondered, where is that little furball? She began to search every nook and cranny of the room, beneath the couch, behind the curtains and atop the book racks with the help of a ladder, yet, Callie was nowhere to be seen. Oh gosh! Where did she go? Callie! Callie, where are you? Ruka was on tenterhooks. It's Mr. Wren's cat. What am I going to do if Callie's gone missing? She hurriedly closed the door and headed downstairs to ask a maid, "Has anyone gone into the study room?" "Miss, what's wrong?" "The cat that I left in the room is missing," explained Ruka in distress. The maid contemplated while muttering, "I wonder if Maya went to the study room for cleaning." Then, she told Ruka, "I'll ask her. She's cleaning the garden right now." "Okay. Please do." Ruka nodded, but doom had dawned upon her. After a while, the maid by the name of Layla returned with an anxious expression. Maya said she did clean the study room, but she didn't see a cat. It must have run away. Ruka turned to look at the direction of the study room as she was getting restless. In fact, she was more worried about losing the kitty. If she failed to find it, she would be done for. "Layla, please ask everyone to stop working and look for the cat with me. She's a white ragdoll and her name is Callie." She decided to ask everyone to help search for the cat. "Okay. I'll tell them right away." After the maid left to inform the others, Ruka started her search in the spacious yard. Though the yard was enclosed by walls and iron fences, she figured it would be easy peasy for the kitty to slip through those fences and leave the place. "Callie, where are you?" Ruka's figure weaved through every corner of the garden without missing any potential hiding spots. Meanwhile, the maids were on the move as they commenced a blanket search throughout the area. Leaving the search duty within the residence to the maids, Ruka left the yard to check on the bushes outside. There was an artificial garden outside of Hassan residence, where lush shrubs covered most of the area. In order to find the kitty, Ruka couldn't care less about it and she just slid into every crevice she found. Suddenly, she hissed when a sharp branch slit her hand, but she was not bothered by the pain at all. After taking a look at the wound, which barely bled, she marched forward. The branches ruffled her tresses into a mess, and there were many leaves and grasses on her. It was as though she had been rolling around in the bushes a few times. At this moment, a black premium car was driven into the yard. Then, a bodyguard got out of the car first, before opening the door of the back seat. A pair of long legs stretched over the door. The remnant glow of the evening sunlight shone upon the man, who was donned in a black suit. His fringe was combed to the back to expose his forehead and deep eyes, enhancing his mature aura. The formidable air exuded from him into the air. Mr. Hassan, you're here. One of the maids, who was in the middle of the cat search, hastily welcomed him. Ron scanned the whole yard and saw that the maids were all leaning over to look for something. His brows knitted. What are you guys looking for? We're looking for your cat. It has run out of the study room, but we still can't find it after searching the yard. The glint in his eyes dimmed. Where's Ruka? She's searching for the cat among the bushes outside. Hearing that, he wheeled around to head outside, but the bodyguard stopped him instantly. Mr. Hassan, I think it'll be better if you don't go outside. I'm worried that... It's all right. He ignored the advice and strode toward the little gate at a fast pace while two bodyguards followed suit. Ren walked out of the bushes area of the garden and saw a white silhouette weaving through the nearby shrubs. Who could it possibly be other than Ruka? Oblivious of someone's arrival, Ruka suddenly heard a meow coming from between the two shrubs. Surprised and elated, she squirmed into the opening like a female warrior charging forward. There were two branches stuck in her hair, but she was unfazed. Despite being covered in dirt, she was not bothered in the slightest. However, once she saw the cat in between the bushes, she was utterly disappointed because it was a stray cat. As soon as it noticed someone was approaching, it hopped into another bush and disappeared. Ruka. A man's frosty voice, tinged with concern, could be heard from outside the bushes. Ruka was paralyzed in surprise. The voice. Is it Mr. Ren? She quickly retreated backward. Since she was wearing jeans, it was not that awkward. However, she seemed like a crazy woman the moment she squirmed out of the bush. There were a few dry leaves stuck in her messy hair and some stains on her fair face. Her hands and clothes were dirtier with bloodstains. Mr. Ren, I'm sorry. I lost your cat. Like a child in the wrong, she lowered her head as she prepared herself to be chided. Still, Ren noticed the bloodstains on her finger with his keen eyes. Marching forward, he grabbed her hand to take a look. You're hurt. I'm all right. It's just a scratch and it doesn't hurt. She hurriedly withdrew her hand and shook her head since it was urgent to search for his cat. Looking at the dry leaves and twigs on her hair, he gently removed them for her. She was surprised for a few seconds while standing still to let him do the job. After removing the grasses off her head, he ordered in a low voice, "Wash up and bandage your finger." But your cat, her eyes slightly widened. She would never return without the cat. I'll look for her. Gazing at her pathetic state akin to a little kitten, Ren let out a chuckle. Embarrassed, she could not help but glanced at him. What are you laughing at? Nothing. Let's go. He then patted her shoulder. Trust me. I can find her. The intense regret filled her heart, for she had not foreseen herself losing his cat upon borrowing it. Sorry, apologized Ruka with downcast eyes as her long lock covered her ears. Don't be silly, he chided lightly while raising his hand, which stiffened in midair before he withdrew it. No one knew what he was going to do except for him. He almost tucked her strands of hair behind her ear.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.